Today I'm going to bring you an instructional how-to video of how to get fire started in your wood stove. I'm still sort of a beginner, but I'll show you how I do it and what seems to work for me. One of the first things you're going to want to do is make sure that your damper is pulled out all the way so that you can have a maximum airflow once you get your fire started. I'm going to be starting this fire in a cold fireplace. I had a fire in it yesterday, but it burned down totally. All the ashes were pretty cold. One tip is, if you do get your fire going, an easy way to keep it going is to leave some of the ash and some of the embers in the bottom. Maybe for my stove, I can leave maybe a couple inches. If I start getting more than that, I'm definitely gonna have to empty it. But if you can leave a couple of inches in there, it really keeps your stove warm, and the next time you go to start a fire, it'll be really easy, much easier. But today we're gonna start it in a cold stove. I've got nothing in there. I've emptied all the ash out, so we're starting from scratch. A lot of people probably won't have this, but if you do have the manual from your stove still, it's a good idea to take a look at it, because I think all stoves operate just a little bit differently, and they can give you some tips on how to put the logs in your stove to create the maximum airflow. My stove, I think the air kind of draws up through the middle. So I'll show you how I lay my firewood in my stove. You're going to want to make sure not to load your wood stove up too much. See, I've left plenty of space in here for the air to get. I'm going to put my kindling and some newspaper in here. You just want to make sure that if you load it too much and you really pack it with your firewood, there's not going to be enough space for the air to get in and really get your fire going nice and hot. Alright, I've put some pine kindling in here, and I've got some, this is actually parchment paper in the bottom. We're going to light this, and hopefully we get some flames of some sort. I've moved my kindling around just a little bit to try and get this pine caught, and once I feel like it's going pretty good, I'm gonna add another log on top here. Hopefully it catches. Now that my kindling has caught fire and is doing pretty good, I've added a log on top that's trying to catch fire. I don't have the driest, best wood to work with here, so sometimes it takes a little bit to get going. But once this top log catches on fire, starts doing well, I can add a little bit more firewood to it, and then I'll take you to the next step, which to me can be kind of the hardest part. Well, your fire that you're trying to start needs 3 things to get going. It needs air, it needs some kind of fuel. We're using our firewood, and it also needs some kind of a spark to get going. So I've got the 2 elements going right now, my firewood, and I've got some sort of a spark. But sometimes you get to a point where you just need a little bit of help. You might look at this and notice that my door is still open. You'd be like, Sammy, are you ever gonna shut that door? And I will once I feel like the logs are really caught on fire. My camera's not showing it very well, but I still think it's mostly my kindling. So once I feel like my logs are caught on fire, then we can think about shutting the door. But if you shut your door before your logs are actually caught on fire, it'll snuff it right out because there's not enough oxygen getting to it. Right now there's tons of oxygen getting to it because I've been blowing on it and the front door is open. So it's still getting a lot of air in there for right now. Once I feel like it's caught on fire really good, then we'll talk about shutting the door. It's the moment of truth. My kindling has done its job. I've got a pretty good fire going, so it's about time to shut my door. You don't want to wait so long that you've got flames leaping out at you. But if you don't have your actual firewood caught on fire and you shut your door, it's gonna put your fire right out and you'll kind of have to start from scratch. Okay, so Sammy here is no Boy Scout. We've only had this wood stove a couple weeks, so this is how I've best been able to start fires. In this stove, your stove might be a little bit different. I'm sure there's 100 ways to start fires in your wood stove. So those of you with more experience, if you don't mind sharing with those of us who are just starting out, let us know how you've done it and what works best for you. And we'll talk to you later. Thank you for watching.